guys, March 8th is International Women's Day. First celebrated on March 19th, 1911, this day serves as a celebration of the economic, political, social, and cultural achievements of women. It also serves as a reminder that there's still a lot of work to be done in regards to women's equality and equity. Today, our focus will be on the value of a woman. Is it in her hair or how she applies her makeup? Is it in her last name, whether it's in the family she was born to or the one in which she marries? Is it in her ability or inability to bear children? The amount of sexual partners she's had, the degrees she holds? What is the true value of a woman and what gives her that value? Today, we'll be focusing on three main concepts: sexism, economic empowerment, and ownership. So when I was an undergrad, I went over to my friend's house, and when I told his mom that I wanted to be a doctor, she basically told me that the only job I should be preparing myself for is for motherhood and to be a wife. Now, this isn't to knock the contributions of housewives. I think they do great work. And unfortunately, in this society, they don't get enough credit because what they do is usually not accounted for in dollars and cents. However, I'm going to touch on that very subject later on in this video. The problem is that she challenged my need for self-actualization, my need to realize my potential and to strengthen my talents. Sexism, racism, any type of ism, it sets limitations on people, and in doing so, it limits our society. Clearly, I didn't agree with her. Here I am at 26 without a husband and without a child, and I think I'm doing pretty well. When more women work, economies grow. Women's economic empowerment has to do with our ability to participate in existing markets, having control over production, our time, access, and also having meaningful participation in economic decision-making, whether it's in our households or as high as international institutions. Women's economic empowerment increases productivity, economic diversity, and income equality. In one study, looking just at Europe, they said, what would happen if all the European countries increased their female employment rate to that of Sweden? What they found was that if all these countries increased their female employment rate to that of Sweden, the gross domestic product, or GDP, would increase by $6 trillion. Increased educational attainment actually accounted for about 50% of the economic growth that European countries have seen in the past 50 years. However, for the majority of women, although they've made gains in education and are actually getting more jobs, this hasn't translated to overall improved labor market outcomes, meaning you're getting jobs, you're getting the degrees, but you're not being treated fairly or paid equally. There's definitely work to be done. Here are just a couple of facts and figures in regards to where we currently are in terms of women economic empowerment. Women are more likely to be unemployed than men. This is projected to remain relatively unchanged through 2021. Women are overrepresented in informal and vulnerable employment. Globally, women are paid less than men. The gender wage gap is estimated to be 23%. This means that women earn 77% of what men earn. And when you take into account certain ethnic and minority groups, it can go even lower than that. Women bear disproportionate responsibility for unpaid care and domestic work. Women tend to spend around 2.5 times more time on unpaid care and domestic work than men. Unpaid care work is essential to the functioning of the economy, but often goes uncounted and unrecognized. It is estimated that if a woman's unpaid work were assigned a monetary value, it would constitute between 10% and 39% of the GDP. Stay-at-home moms, they do real work that deserves real recognition. If they weren't at home doing whatever they're doing, then the other members of their families wouldn't be able to leave the home and make their contributions. Violence and harassment in the world of work affects women regardless of age, location, income, or social status. Women are less likely to have access to social protection, whether you're thinking about pensions, unemployment benefits, or even maternity protection. And honestly, the list goes on and on. So we've spoken about economic empowerment and education, sexism briefly in the very beginning. So now we're going to talk about ownership. Who owns this? You don't own me. I'm not just one of your many toys. Female genital mutilation is defined by the World Health Organization as all procedures that involve the partial or total removal of the external female genitalia or other female organs for non-health reasons. Worldwide, as many as 200 million girls and women have already been subjected to this practice. And although it is oftentimes considered a part of the culture of the countries in which they're practiced, they offer no medical benefit. Oftentimes, they cause immediate or long-term harm, especially in regards to obstetric, gynecologic, sexual, or psychological health. Child marriage is defined as the formal marriage or informal union between a child under the age of 18 and an adult or another child. Although the prevalence has decreased from 1 in 4 girls, it's still 1 in 5 girls who are subjected to this practice. So it's still very rampant. And it's a human rights violation. Child marriage is entrenched in gender inequality, disproportionately affecting young girls than boys. They oftentimes have worse health outcomes when compared to their unmarried peers, and also worse economic outcomes as well. Child brides often become pregnant during adolescence, having increased risk for complications during pregnancy and childbirth. Oftentimes, they're isolated from family and peers, increasing their physical and psychological harm. Finally, consent. It doesn't matter what she was wearing or what time she was out, if she was intoxicated. Stop blaming women. The responsibility is on men to act like actual humans. The responsibility is on men to act appropriately, not on the victims to somehow change the behavior of their aggressor. How does that make sense? From just personal experience with just catcalling, it didn't matter what I was wearing. If it was in the summer and I was wearing shorts and a blouse, or in winter and I'm wearing literally the longest, puffiest jacket, if a man wanted to bother me, or even 2 times I was partially followed, and once, there's actually this really bad encounter that had me really shaken. I was in high school at the time. I was walking to the salon because it wasn't so far from our apartment by myself. And this man spoke to me, and of course I'm just gonna ignore him. So I had to cross over and like move over, and he like followed me and came in front of me and put his hand down and said, "Hey, didn't you hear me talking to you?" I was terrified because I was in high school. He was obviously older, bigger than me, everything. And then I, like timidly said like hi, and then he just like laughed and shook his head and walked away. How was that my fault? How was that my responsibility? I didn't even approach him, right? So as a society, man, sometimes I think we're getting better, and then sometimes we're kind of not. They say, oh, it's so great, that we're listening to women, but are we really believing them? And who are we placing the responsibility on? It's never the woman. It doesn't matter. I once had the unfortunate exchange between a man where I said this. I said, it doesn't matter. I should be able to walk out butt naked if I wanted to. If, of course, nudity wasn't a crime. But I should be able to walk out fully naked and not be harassed. Consent is about respect. It's about mutual respect for each other and our boundaries. To force one's will on another is inhuman. The value of a woman is inherent. It doesn't have to do with her doing something or not doing something. She doesn't have to be someone's wife or daughter. She is someone. She doesn't have to prove her worth. She doesn't have to stay at home, and she doesn't even have to work. As a society, we should learn to value all the contributions that women make, unpaid or paid. Hey guys, I hope you liked this video and that you thought it was a good discussion. The next video comes out in about a week where I'll tackle the very broad topic of women's health. There's so much misinformation about the human body, women's bodies, and even more specifically, Black women's bodies. So in the next video in about a week, I'll be tackling some medical myths concerning women's health. Some of them are really interesting and some of them are super ridiculous, so I hope you'll stick around. If you have any questions or medical myths that you'd like me to include in my next video, please include them in the comments below, or feedback in general. I like to read all the comments and respond as I have time. My name is Khadija Ferdanki. I'm a first-year resident doctor in a family medicine program in upstate New York. I have 3 main passions that I speak about on this channel: medicine, music, and ministry. If you're interested in one of those, 2 of those, or all of them, I hope you'll stick around. Please subscribe, please share this video, and I hope you have a great day.